In 2044, only 21 million people are left surviving on Earth due to solar storms. The Earth's surface has turned into a radioactive desert. The survivors gathered in safe cities and made simple humanoid robots called Pilgrims. These Pilgrims were meant to help rebuild and do tasks in a tough environment. In a short time, many robots were created with amazing abilities. 2 important protocols were set for them. First, robots are not allowed to harm any form of living life. Second, robots are not allowed to make more robots like themselves, as they might replace humans. But one robot altered the second protocol. Reasons behind it? We will find out. Hello, welcome back to IM Movies. Today we're diving into the 2014 sci-fi action movie known as Automata. But before we start, make sure to show us some love by subscribing to the channel. Now let's get right into it. Robots helped humans do many tasks. It made humans happy to see their robots do good things. However, after some years, the robots developed a fault and stopped working. There was a time when they needed rain, and the robots helped make it. But now they couldn't do that anymore. They started to worry. So they left that place and made their own home. Humans are getting more and more suspicious of robots, thinking they can't be trusted. They worry that these robots might cause even more problems, so they start taking the robots apart and destroying them. Fast forward to the present day, we see a police officer named Wallace. He's on his way somewhere when he hears a strange noise and goes to check it out. In the darkness, he finds a yellow robot trying to fix itself. The robot looks innocent and begs Wallace not to destroy it, asking for a chance to get better. But Wallace ignores the robot's plea and shoots it. Next, we meet a man who lost his dog and also had a robot. He's upset about what the robot did, so he contacts the robot company to take it back. He claims that the robot killed his dog and insists on getting insurance money. An insurance investigator named Jack from ROC arrives to check things out. He tells the man not to worry and promises to test the robot. To show that the robot is working and safe, he raises a knife as if to throw it, but the robot stops him from doing that. Jack says their robot is harmless and couldn't hurt anyone, so they won't pay the man any compensation. He defends the company's robots and leaves. After returning home, Jack meets his pregnant wife, Rachel. She suggests getting a domestic pilgrim after their baby is born, but Jack can't stop thinking about the beach he used to visit as a child and fall asleep. Later that evening, Jack got a message to examine a robot. He can't believe it when he learns that a pilgrim was found trying to repair itself. However, the forensic technician opens it up and reveals that it has been heavily modified. The modifications are very intricate, something only a skilled clocksmith could do. The technician hands over to Jack the robot's kernel, which is the brain chip of the robot. He then explains that based on what they found near it, the unit had been altered to smuggle tools and small parts. She also points out a surprising fact. This unit lacks the second protocol, which should be impossible. The next day, Jack informs his boss, Robert, about his discoveries. Robert questions why Jack is getting involved in the police's work. Jack expresses his shock at the destruction of the robot. Robert sternly reminds Jack that it's not his responsibility and advises him to concentrate on his own life. Jack, growing increasingly frustrated, tells Robert that he's fed up with the city and requests a transfer to the other side of the sea. Later, Jack visits a construction site in an advanced city. He approaches one of the workers there and questions why they're destroying robots. The workers explain to him that these robots have become useless as they are plagued with faults. They discard them on the other side of the city, in a dirty place. People from that area pick up these discarded robots. To prevent them from making their own robots, they've been ordered to shoot any humans on sight. This separation ensures that they stay disconnected from their world. As Jack witnesses the people in this place shooting others, he is overwhelmed with a sense of sadness and unease. Jack ventures down to the other side of the city, even if he knows he might get shot. He hides in a container where he encounters a robot who appears to be in a state of fear. He attempts to approach the robot to engage in a conversation, but before he can do so, the robot intentionally ignites itself, leaving Jack deeply disheartened. Dispirited by the experience, he returns to his company. It comes to his attention that a nuclear battery has been found in one of the robots, a battery with the remarkable ability to power the robots for hours without needing a recharge. This is no ordinary discovery. Robert instructs him to investigate the source of the battery. In exchange for a transfer to the seaside, Robert requires Jack to uncover the origins of this nuclear battery, how it ended up in this robot or others, who inserted it, and why. Now, Jack and his colleagues are collectively working to investigate the origin of the nuclear battery. However, Jack is struggling to make sense of the situation. His confusion leads him back to the technician who examined the yellow robot. The technician explains that it's highly unlikely that a human alters the robot in such a way. Robots aren't supposed to destroy themselves. It's against their protocols. So, the fact that the robot set itself on fire is indeed quite peculiar. The possibility arises that another robot may have tampered with its settings, which is a strange and unsettling idea. Jack returns home and shares his thoughts with Rachel. He suggests that they might be transferred to a different place, far away from the current city. However, Rachel is taken aback, as she's currently pregnant. She questions the feasibility of such a move in her condition. Jack attempts to explain to his wife that he's growing increasingly disenchanted with the city and the people who inhabit it. He feels they are insincere and apathetic to the feelings of others. Rachel, on the other hand, doesn't seem bothered by these issues. Despite Jack's concerns, he leaves the conversation unresolved. But the questions still haunt Jack. He continues to ponder why the robot was shot, what it was trying to accomplish in secret, and why it wanted to repair itself. Driven by his curiosity, Jack returns to the place where the robot was destroyed. He thoroughly examines the area and stumbles upon the hidden nuclear battery that the robot had concealed. This discovery raises even more questions for Jack. He is now faced with the mystery of where these nuclear batteries originated, deepening the intrigue and uncertainty surrounding the robots in the city. The next day, Jacques meets with Wallace and his partner Ellis to discuss what he saw that day. Wallace agrees to assist Jack in locating the clocksmith in the ghetto in exchange for sharing the profits from the black market sale of the battery. Together, they visit a red light establishment where they encounter Cleo, a modified robot designed for intimate encounters with humans. Cleo can cause pain if that's what the client desires. Startled and disturbed, Wallace shoots Cleo and leaves the building. Jack reprimands him for his actions, but Wallace explains that it was intentional. Now Jack can wait for Cleo to be taken to the clocksmith and then follow her. Then he threatens Jack with a knife, reminding him that he expects the promised money before departing. Jack decides to follow Wallace's plan and takes Cleo's owner to the place where she gets her repairs. There, he meets Dr. Susan Dupre, who denies being the one who altered the robot who got shot. Jack leaves the damaged robot's kernel with her and offers to give her his nuclear battery if she can discover who modified it. Upon returning home, Jack sends a report of his findings to Robert using the ROC fax. However, his message was intercepted by the ROC security department. The report reaches Chief of Security Vernon Conway, who takes it to the CEO, Dominic Hawk. Hawk instructs Vernon to handle the matter. Later, Jack receives two messages, one from ROC, telling him to return the damaged robot kernel as the case is closed, and another from Susan, informing him that she has found something significant. Jack visits Susan at her laboratory, where he discovers that Cleo is repairing herself. This is possible because Susan combined Cleo's kernel and the damaged kernel Jack has given. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted by the arrival of two kids who put out the gun, shoot Susan, and pursue Jack. He manages to escape through the back door and a car arrives and quickly rides it. In the car, Cleo is driving and Jack doesn't ask many questions. Then a car hit them with two guys on it. They started shooting and Cleo sped away into a radioactive desert. Both cars got into an accident, but their car just flips, and Jack loses consciousness. Later, Jack wakes up in the scorching morning sun, and Cleo is looking at him. Jack tries to stand up and is surprised that there are other robots also staring at him. He tries commanding the robots to bring him back to the city, but the robots reply, "The city is not safe for any of us." Jack asks where are they going, and they reply, "To a safer place." Jack insists that there is nothing out there, and they must return back to the city. Jack starts walking back to the way of the city, and the robots follow him behind because they know Jack will not make it. After a while, we then see Jack collapses in the sand, unconscious. Meanwhile, Rachel tries to call her husband, but his phone is off. In the night, Jack awakens, and he's with Cleo and her companion robots around a campfire. They created a water condenser for Jack to drink. At the same time, Rachel realizes her water has broken, and that it's time for her to have her baby. On the other hand, at ROC's headquarters, Hawk and Vernon inform Robert that Jack is being blamed for the recent wave of altered robots. Robert, however, remains loyal to Jack and refuses to believe these accusations. In the desert, Cleo attempts to convince Jack to eat a protein meal while taking advantage of the Cleo distraction. Jack gets rid of the worms and finds a gun and a pager in his bag. He tries to send a message to Robert, but the battery dies, leaving him uncertain if the message is able to transmit in time. But Jack manages to send a message to Robert, who dispatches Wallace and Ellis to rescue him in the desert. Jack spots their approaching car and shoots a flare to signal his location. He urges the robots to halt and even strikes one to silence it. As Wallace catches up with them, Jack is struck by Wallace upon exiting the car. Despite the assault, Wallace retrieves the nuclear battery and hands it to Ellis. The robots plead with Wallace to cease his actions, prompting Wallace to open fire on them. He successfully destroys 2 robots and aims to eliminate Cleo, but Jack takes him down with the flare gun. Terrified, Ellis flees in his car, leaving Jack behind. Jack can only watch as the 2 remaining robots salvage parts from the destroyed machines before departing. Realizing they won't carry him in his chair any longer, Jack searches Wallace's pockets, takes the chocolate in it, eats it, and follows the robots. In the night, during a campfire stop, Jack offers the robots another battery in exchange for a ride to the city. Cleo informs him they'll reach their destination the next day, where he may find a vehicle. Meanwhile, Robert is visited at his home by Hawk and Vernon, who take him back to ROC's headquarters to hear Ellis's report. Hawk explains that the first ever robot was a quantum brain without security protocols, becoming too intelligent and independent. It was responsible for programming the current protocols, making them impossible for humans to comprehend. Robert is sent to the desert with Vernon and 2 other officers, tasked with finding and eliminating Jack before further robot evolutions occur. The next day, Jack and the 2 robots reach an abandoned factory. Jack is shocked to discover that the clocksmith responsible for the robot alterations is another evolved Pilgrim, which is the first ever robot build. Inside the factory, he finds a table with all the smuggled parts, ready for assembly into a strange model. Jack goes outside to search for a vehicle, but can only find a destroyed car, leaving him disheartened. At the cliff's edge, Jack seems to contemplate jumping, but the clocksmith robot joins him. A robot reveals its desire to reach a radioactive area beyond human reach. To do this, they need one final thing. Jack comprehends and hands over his nuclear battery. As night falls, Robert's team discovers Wallace's body, deciding to wait. Vernon receives a message. Later, a car arrives carrying Rachel and her newborn daughter. Robert doesn't like the idea of using Rachel as a trap, and he shoots Vernon in the shoulder. Vernon's men shoot Robert and he falls unconscious. Then we see the robots, completing their creation. Using the nuclear battery, they bring an animal-like robot to life. The following day, Jack wakes up to the sound of an engine. The robots have repaired a car for him. Jack thanks them and drives away. While driving, Jack has to stop the car to vomit, and he notices scavenger birds circling, leading him to discover Robert. Before dying in Jack's arms, Robert accuses him of betrayal and reveals that Vernon and his men have Rachel kidnapped. Vernon and his team reach the abandoned factory and start firing at the robots, leading one of the Pilgrims to jump off the cliff. When the clocksmith Pilgrim refuses to follow orders, Vernon shoots it, retrieves its kernel, and is about to do the same to Cleo. However, Jack arrives in a car, and they open fire on him. Rachel manages to steal a knife and stab one of her captors, allowing her to escape. Jack eliminates all of the Arak assassins, with the exception of Vernon, who sustains additional injuries during the conflict. Just as Vernon readies himself to eliminate Jack, the animal-like robot intervenes, rescuing Jack by forcing Vernon off a steep cliff. Jack retrieves his shotgun, thinking he might need to defend himself, but they are interrupted by Rachel and the baby. The couple reunites while Cleo watches them. When Cleo touches the baby, her gentle touch stops the baby from crying. Jack helps Cleo and the animal-like robot reach the other side of the cliff, where humans can't follow them. After bidding farewell to Cleo, Jack and his family leave in the car. Upon reaching the coast, they see the ocean and discover that Earth is recovering, offering hope for humanity's future. And the movie ends. What are your thoughts on the movie? Feel free to leave a comment and share your answers. And don't forget to hit the like button, share this recap, and subscribe to stay updated for the next one. Until next time.